1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on, join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes 1. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock.
Bill Haley and the Comets, sometimes known as Bill Haley and his Comets, or even Bill Haley's Comets, were a American rock and roll band from Pennsylvania. So Bill Haley had been playing in various bands with various names through the 40s. About 1949, they had settled on a band and a name, which was Bill Haley and the Saddlemen. And they were making a good name for themselves playing country and western. And in fact, Bill Haley was considered one of America's finest country yodelers, which just doesn't fit with my image of Bill Haley somehow. However, in 1951 and into 1952, they did a couple of rock and roll numbers, and I think rock and roll had been around, and they adapted the sound and did a couple of tracks in that kind of sound, and they went down really well. To the extent that they decided basically to change style to rock and roll. And at that point in 1952, they also needed to change name because Saddlemen was obviously a name that worked for country, but didn't work particularly well for rock and roll. Rolling a couple of years, 1954, they did Rock Around the Clock, which is the song that they're most known for. And it gave a huge exposure for rock and roll worldwide, actually. In my youth, I had been told that Rock Around the Clock was the first rock and roll record. I think that is nowhere near true, but I think that it was the first very high-profile rock and roll record, and I think that's why. Couple of years later, after that, 1956, Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis came along, and the more outrageous acts that they were took over in popularity from people like Bill Haley. And so they waned in popularity in America, but they did manage to keep going. In the early 60s, they were very popular in Mexico and Latin America. And in the late 60s, they were cashing in on popularity that they'd maintained in Europe. So they carried on. 1981, Bill died. And after that, since then, there have been 7 different groups that have claimed the name of the Comets using different claimed connections to the band. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is a compilation album of songs that had been released as singles in the previous couple of years. And at the beginning of the video, you saw that it's listed in the list that I'm taking this from, this 3,000 Greatest Albums, as Shake, Rattle and Roll / Rock Around the Clock. Now, this happens sometimes in the list. They've got more than one name for an album. Sometimes it's because there's an album that's just got 2 different names from different territories. Sometimes, as is in this occasion, that these are actually different entities. However, all the tracks that were on Shake, Rattle and Roll, which was a 10-inch album, also appear on Rock Around the Clock, which was released later in the same year in 1955, which is a 12-inch LP long-playing record. So I've... At these points, I need to make a decision as to which one I'm going to review, and on this occasion, I've decided to review Rock Around the Clock, so the more extended one. It comes as no surprise that this is classic rock and roll. In retrospect, this style has been labelled rockabilly, which is kind of like a rock and roll with a slight country edge. I wouldn't say the country is there strongly. And I knew a few of these tracks. I certainly enjoyed the whole album. I never imagined rock and roll is going to be a deep and meaningful experience. It's just some fun music, and rock and roll is good at that. I especially like, well, everybody likes Rock Around the Clock, but I especially liked ABC Boogie, which is a song that I have heard before, but I'm not sure if it's the same version, whether it was Bill Haley's version that I've heard or somebody else's. But as soon as I heard it, I remembered it. Oh, yes, I really like this song. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. What do you think? Please let me know. And the way to do that is to stick some words in the comments box down below. That's it from me for now.
Down around the corner in a little school, children learn their lessons and the golden rule, 'cause they got a teacher up from Basin Street, and she does her teaching with a boogie beat, teaching me ABC with rhythm and ease. Every single morning it's the same.